the name Sjoerd is a super white name. So I was like, oh, I must be like half white, right? And then at some point, when the media told us, yeah, we just found out Barack Obama was actually half black and half white. As a kid, I was like, oh, wow. He's just like me, dude. That's crazy, right? I fucking love Obama, right? And then I met my dad and I found out what I was. And I met him in 2024. And it was so crazy because that was also when the next election was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2024, I was like, the main joke about it is this whole time, the media made me think I was Barack Obama, but turns out I'm Kamala Harris, right? Right? And that's like a little connection I made where I was like Barack Obama. And then I was like meeting my dad. And I was like, oh my God, like there's so much that happened there where I was like, I didn't know I was Indian. I thought I was half black and half white, just like Obama. So then in this situation with Kamala Harris coming out and she's like, oh, I'm Indian, but I'm also black. I'm like, no fucking way.
Hey, I'm Zack Newmark, and here on this week's episode of Dam Yankee is an incredibly talented comedian from Sint Maarten, Sjoerd Scott, who's going to talk to us about how a law student can get scammed out of 2,000 euros while writing about financial scams. He managed to turn that around and become a comedian in his own right on the back of that pain and struggle, and has since opened up for some incredibly talented people like Hannibal Buress and friend of the pod, Nima Nas. But he is a great talent in his own right, and we are super excited to have him here. Sjoerd Scott, an infectious personality, and you're joining us in Amsterdam. Love to have you here. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, man.
Welcome.
This is beautiful. I promise I didn't make time. I had time today. I did not make time. I was busy doing nothing, and I was like, let's do this. Let's do this. I
Man,
love it.
you are like, you're the clear piece of evidence for me of why we should have cameras rolling even when people just walk into the room, and why we should just be recording off the bat, because you're absolutely hilarious.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you're like
man.
super engaging, and you've got this great energy.
Yeah.
And at what point did you take that and kind of turn that into a comedy career? Because that's not what you moved here for.
No, not at all. I came here to study law. Very not a big positive or funny vibe there. And I've had teachers tell me, like, they would be like, sure, like, try to be more serious, like actually focus on substance. And, you don't have to make every presentation funny and try to have a big, like, expression and how you present yourself. So I was like, okay, like, I think law taught me how to be a bit more substantial with like research and writing and how I present certain ideas to people. But the comedy and like other aspects, like positivity, just having good energy, just, having good positivity, that came from where I came from. That's the Caribbean. The Caribbean taught me that.
I mean, what was the point that you actually decided that, stand-up is what you want to do?
Oh, man. Okay. It's actually so crazy because growing up, like, I always say this about my generation, where it's like we grew up watching stand-up on YouTube, like, because we're the generation of like technology, right? Like when
Right.
it started to really become a thing, watching specials on YouTube. So I would be like 8, 9 years old and I'd be watching like Jeff Dunham, Gabriel Iglesias, Kevin Hart on YouTube because they would post their clips online, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I'm like a young kid seeing all of this, and I was like, wow, I would love to be able to tell stories in a positive way about pain, all these different things. And my school, they had like this competition thing across all schools in the whole island of Sint Maarten, and the whole island is just 20 people. There's 20 people doing this competition, really. And it's like we have a population of like 70,000 people-ish, but the competition was like island-wide, so it was all schools could do it. And I was like, I want to do stand-up. I want to try this, and I signed up, man. And
what happened?
it was terrible. I knew nothing about comedy, writing jokes. I knew nothing, but I had the heart for it, and I think that's what mostly helped me a lot.
So that was basically like your first set that you ever put together.
Yeah. And it was tough because I wanted to do it with my cousin, so I wrote a double act.
Mm-hmm.
And how I did it is I was like, I'm going to do the setups, and he wanted to be an actor. So I was like, you're going to do the act outs and the punchline. So I'm going to set it up, and you're going to help me out by doing the ending of the bit, right? By acting it out. And then when you act out, I'll jump in with you, and we see where we take it from there.
Right.
So it's like a pseudo improv performative stand-up, right? And we did that, signed up for the competition. We did the audition, made it through the audition, and my cousin, my friend, he goes, actually, I have to go on a cruise ship on the day of the talent show. I was like, how do you not know this in advance? Now, I have to do the actual show by myself, even though we're supposed to be a double act. And it was the worst thing ever. I wrote stories about doing like my first kiss and all these things. My mom saw it and she went, why would you tell them about your first kiss? No one cares. She was like, just do accents. So I did accents and I bombed like a motherfucker because I don't know how to do accents. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do a Nigerian accent, Indian accent, Russian accent. Never met a Russian. But I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do a Russian accent. And it didn't go well. It didn't go well because it was just terrible. I tried to do too much. I had clothes, like layers of clothing, and I would strip them to do the new character.
Oh my God.
So I would go up with like all of these like multiple layers of clothing and I'd be like, my name is Dimitri. And then I would take it off and I'd be like, oh, thank you very much. And I would do like all of these things and it didn't go well. It didn't go well.
So, but what is it, in you that went from having, a bomb in front of how many people?
2,000.
2,000. Your first show
was 2,000 people.
Was a disaster in front of 2,000 people, where literally everybody you were involved with led you in the wrong direction.
They led me in the worst direction, and it was in the back of a casino.
Right.
So it was like it was so quiet you could hear the slot machines go off in the background. I was like,
that was your audience leaving.
They were like, I'm gonna go gamble. I gotta develop a bad habit now. This is fucked up, but it was one of those experiences, indeed.
I mean, were you crushed afterwards, or were you just sort of like, oh, of course this bombed?
I mean, okay, I'm gonna tell you this, right? Like, I'm a pretty positive, like looking forward, moving forward. Let the past be the past. I'm also very petty. Right? I'm also very petty. I remember everything.
Haven't talked to your mom since.
Oh. Anytime she gives me advice, I'm like, you're the last person I want to hear this from. Like, she knows I love her, but it's like she comes from a great place. But I remember when I did that and I signed up for it, it kind of did make me go like, okay, I have a lot more work to do. And I wanted to grow from it and learn from it. I did a very like sappy, I was like, 16 years old. Mm-hmm. I went on Facebook. I was like, hey guys, I don't know if y'all saw the show. I apologize. That was weird. It wasn't funny. I want to get better. I want to work on it. The next day, my school, they go, we want to show an award and appreciation for all the students that participated in the competition. And they had dancers, singers, every other art form. I was the only comedian. And they mentioned everyone's name but mine. Everyone's name. All the kids went up. They were like, these are the kids that participated. Make some noise for them. And I'm in the crowd like, I was there too. Like, yeah. And I remember that. And that made me go like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out this comedy thing.
It's amazing that you would have the resolve to, decide to keep doing it after an experience like that. Because it's not only the bombing on stage, but then no recognition for the attempt either.
Because I'm bombing in front of everyone I know.
Right.
It's 2,000 of people I grow up with and people that know me and love me, right? So it's like also people from other schools. So it was one of those things where it's like I messed up and everyone kind of knew about that. Like a lot of people saw that, but no one's talking about it because it wasn't funny. So it was like, yeah, well, that happened, right? So then for me, I was like, live in St. Martin. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to figure out comedy because it's not like an open mic courses. There's no stand-up courses. There was no place for me to like try it. So when I came here to the Netherlands, I was like, no one knows me. Like, I could try and fail and that's okay because it's not like in the Caribbean, it's all a small community. So when you try and fail, it's like, hey, remember when you tried that thing and nobody liked that shit? We told you, And then you could kind of easily be demotivated by that. And when I came here, I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. And then I literally learned, like the first comedian I met was this comedian named Tim Hill, and he goes, how about you just put the funniest word at the end of a sentence? And I was like, that is simple joke structure. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just having the final word be the funniest thing. Like, and you just end on the final word so that you don't have any other like filler words after that step over a laugh. Just end on the final funniest word. And I know that sounds very simple to say, but I was like 16, 17 at the time. I needed that because I would just ramble.
And you moved here, what, about a year and a half after that happened? 2 years after that show? So you moved here in
The year right after.
The year after.
The year right after.
See, and then, what they always say is that when people go from high school to college or secondary school to university, that, it's sort of, you get to reinvent yourself or be whomever you want at that point. And here, you also, you were doing that because you started going to university in The Hague, but then on top of that, you're just thousands of miles away from home. Yeah. So it's just, a complete ability to kind of, recreate who you are or be whatever it is that you wanted to be at that moment.
Exactly.
So is there something to the timing of a bomb like that, then coming over here and crossing an ocean and staying over here, did that give you more opportunity?
I wanted to go back immediately when I came up here. I wanted to go back immediately. I wanted to run home with my tail between my legs and just call it a day. Because in the Caribbean, it's like you could have a very simple life. Like you could easily get a house, like because you're next to your family. Like it's very easy to have a life set up for you and settle, right? In that way. When I came up here, the year after that bomb, a huge hurricane hit the island, right?
Right.
So for I think it was 6 months when I moved up here. For the first 6 months, I didn't have a house and my home country was destroyed and there was no means to contact anyone. And people would do stuff where it would be people would have to wait every day for a water truck to come to bring water to drink and shower.
Right. And the politicians in The Hague at that time were also debating whether or not it was even worth sending more money.
Oh my God.
Help out.
I saw all of that, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to lie to you. It was one of those things to me that I was like, okay, there's a lot of unfairness that goes on, especially towards people from the Caribbean, that were colonies of the Netherlands in this way. There's a lot of unfairness and a way how we get treated is very much like the kid that, how parents have a kid that goes away to college and then they fuck up and then they come back and they're like, oh, well, look who came crawling back, right? It's like that. Right. It's like that kind of feeling.
Look who's coming back after a natural disaster.
Yeah. You wanted to be independent, right? You wanted to be your own country. Now look at you. So it was kind of like that where it's like, okay, it's hard to ask for help, but we needed it. And it was at that point where I was going through so much that I was like, should I just call it quits on all of this? Give up on the law, just go back to St. Martin, just try to work, build a life again, because I care about my family and all of these things. And I was with my mom. She was here, and she couldn't even fly back because she was trapped here. And she was telling me, and she was like, I feel like you really want to do this. It would just be me and my mom. I would be crying in a hotel room, and I'd be like, I don't know. I think I should just go back and just call it quits on this whole, Netherlands traveling the world thing. My mom was like, I really think you really want to do this, and we can go back if you want to. As soon as she said that, I was like, you're out of your goddamn mind. If I'm going to go back, I'm going to figure this shit out. You better believe it. And then I remember just a month more of perseverance. I had my first studio where I got to live by myself, which was a huge privilege at the time, especially in The Hague, that I was like, maybe I should keep going. It's going to get tough, but maybe I should keep going.
Is your mom still here, or is she
went back
over
already. There? Yeah, she lives in the Netherlands.
So,
she lives in St. Martin now.
So she was here just sort of helping you get settled?
Helping me get settled,
yeah. And, then you start university in The Hague and you're doing this law program there. How did that work out for you?
I was a terrible student because I didn't know anything about the law, right? Growing up in St. Martin, you go to high school, you learn about general stuff this is the capitals of these countries. This is the history of what happened in World War II. You learn all the general stuff.
Right.
But I never actually got this is what a constitution is. I didn't know what a constitution was. So I would go over to law school and they would teach me all of these things. And I'd be surrounded by German students, Dutch students that all knew about these things already. So I had to catch up. So that one for me was very tough. Other kids were giving it 70-80% of effort, and then they would go do a part-time job, whatever. I was giving 110%, just spending all day being like, what the fuck is a human rights? What is a United Nations? And I have to learn about the EU freshly now in 2017. If you live here and you grew up here, you know about the EU or you get taught about it slowly. I had to learn everything as quickly as possible in a year to be able to pass.
Yeah. And so what happened? Did you stick with it?
I did, and I asked for a lot of help. And I remember there was this one teacher I met named Guido, right? His name is Guido. And I think he was a huge part of me being able to make it through. Because even during the hurricane and stuff like this, he was the nicest Dutch guy. The first thing he ever said to me, he goes, Sjoerd Scott, wow. And he goes, I have a son named Sjoerd. I was like, oh, nice, man. It's pretty cool. He was like, yeah, yeah. And a dog named Scott. I was like, okay, this is a match made in heaven kind of thing. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna look after you. He would invite me to like his house in Rotterdam. I would like meet his kids. I met his dog and everything. I met Sjoerd and Scott, man. They were pretty cool. They were pretty cool. And he helped me a lot. Like, he was very supportive of me. He was like, I can try to get you some extra tutoring. He would ask one of the smarter kids, like this one girl from Albania. He was like, can you give Sjoerd some notes so he could understand a bit? And that helped me a lot because I was afraid to ask for help. I would never ask for help.
Are you still like that now?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I never ask for help.
Why?
Oh, man, it's so difficult for me. I mean, and it's kind of like that Caribbean thing as well. As I said, it's like, I'm like, you don't want to be embarrassed to ask for help. And then the person is like, oh, well, look who's coming to ask for help. So for me, it's very hard to do that. I'm trying to get there, that point to ask for help, because I think it's very important, especially with community and just making it further in whatever you're trying to do. Like, help is always essential. But I'm always like, if I don't figure it out, who will? That's kind of the way I view stuff like that.
And it's interesting that you still feel that way because you've also had the experience of what it's like for a teacher to take you under their wing, for a comedian to give you advice to step up your game, for another student to help you out. Yeah. And, you have a comedy partner and, somebody that you perform with on stage together sometimes, but also who you do this podcast with. So it seems like it almost seems like you're denying your own reality in a way that you are able to access these different avenues for help and at the same time kind of holding yourself back a little bit.
It is definitely holding myself back. But the thing about it that I find that always works is like, as long as you keep doing what you're doing, you will meet people that agree with you and see that vision. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard for me to ask for help because sometimes you can ask a person for help and it's just not the right chemistry, maybe not the right vibe, like maybe not the right partnership in that way. So to me, it's always like, if I keep doing my thing and I keep trying to get better and working on myself and like not having like an ego, just continually, just genuinely trying to get better, I also truly believe that life will put people or opportunities in your path that will lead you to be like, okay, now I should diversify, I should branch out, I should try more collaboration because I've worked this hard that I can use that I can enjoy these things now. Yeah. That's the way I view it.
I'm wondering also, do you use your law degree? I mean, you got the law degree? You graduated from the program, right?
Indeed. I have a bachelor in law. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you use it?
Well, it's so funny because I also have like a minor in compliance, right? So in a lot of ways, like these things kind of made me go, like it taught me about structure, right? Like how to structure things, how to build arguments, how to debate. Like law did teach me a lot of these kind of things. And I'm not a good student. Like I don't know a lot of shit. Like sometimes, like the other day, I like Googled what does genocide mean, and I should know that. I should know that.
You should know that.
I should know. That's the bare minimum. But that's just one of those things where it's like, for me, it's like information can go in and out. But I do try to maintain what I truly believe is important, or that I could also present to other people. To me, that's also true. Like knowledge as well. If you can present information that you know to another person in a way that makes them understand, then you're like truly like, oh, I really know this topic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Laura, one of the producers who I work with, she was telling me that getting your thesis approved was a complicated task and
Indeed.
Incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, man. What happened? So I remember because when the COVID thing happened, when I was going through COVID, I started to do really well on TikTok, right? I would post sketches. And I had to finish school, right? I had to do an assignment, I had to do theses, I had to do an internship, and no one would hire me, right? I was having a hard time. Literally one time, I went up to like a job interview here in Amsterdam, and I used to live in The Hague. I got dressed up, had my nice shoes on, suit, everything for this interview. I pulled up, and they go, oh, you're the Sjoerd guy that does the TikToks, right? And I was like, yeah. And Dad was like, wow, that's so interesting. How'd you come up with that one? And we would have this whole conversation. And I was like, yeah, you guys are pretty cool. Did I get the job? Like, am I going to get this internship so I could graduate? They'd be like, oh, no, we already found somebody. Okay. And I would be like, oh, why am I here?
We just wanted to meet the TikTok guy.
They just wanted to meet just wanted to have fun and be like, oh my God, he's going to come. And I guess they really wanted to give me a chance, but I had terrible like grades and credits. So they would be like, well, I mean, you don't really have a lot of knowledge about these kind of you're a cool guy, great personality hire, but you don't really know a lot about what you're doing, which is fair. You know, I could admit that. Whenever it comes to writing stuff down or like papers or like tech or like emails and stuff like that, I have a very hard time expressing myself. It's very hard for me to do that. I would always fail it. And when I did my thesis, I failed it 3 times.
Okay.
Right? And it was about preventing financial scams in the Netherlands and London, because I wanted to study how a common law system and a civil law system deals with victims of fraud and scams, especially during the pandemic when people were scamming with masks, about fake masks and all these different stuff. So I was like, oh, how to prevent that? Where's it coming from? And what means can we do to move forward as basically as scams get higher and more complicated. I failed it 3 times. And when I failed it 3 times, like, not gonna lie, I noticed I was gonna fail because I'm one of those people like with like writing the document thing. They would always ask you, how long did it take you to do? 15 hours, 30 hours? I was like, I did this in 3.
Right.
Is that not normal? Like, is that like, wait, y'all take 15 hours to do this paper? I was like, I did this shit in 3 hours. What are you talking about? So it's because of stuff like this that I was like, okay, I'm taking way too much shortcut. I'm not properly expressing and putting down in paper all of my proper arguments and how I'm doing stuff. On the 4th attempt of doing my paper, I picked up the phone and I got a scam call. And here's the thing about this scam call. I studied scammers for 3 years and I couldn't tell when I'm talking to one. Right. So that made me know why I was going to fail my shit. Because if I can't even identify a scammer, I should not be doing this shit, right? I picked up that phone and they said they were from the Supreme Court of the Netherlands and that they had coke and blood in my car and I don't even have a license. I'm like 19 years old. I'm like, all right, sure. I'm doing all of this. I'm falling for the scam. I'm listening to everything they're telling me to go on this website, type this in. Can you share your screen, do this and that? They were like, don't worry. If you put your money here, we're going to have a lady come tomorrow. She's going to give you the new code so that you could access it. They had an entire plan. And believe me, I tried to do everything. I tried to bring out my inner white guy. I was like, well, let me see. Let me hear your badge number. What's your badge number, sir? I was being like, well, who's the lead of this department? Like, I asked him everything. I was the most white guy ever, and he had every response. He was like, well, my police number is 92376, and I was like, well, that sounds pretty legit. Like, I know anything about that.
A random number generator in front of him.
Literally, he probably did all of that, and I fell for it. And I sent this guy 1,900 euros, right? Wow. It was all of the money I had at the time because I was like a student. And I remember I went to the bank. And this lady, she was like, oh, you got scammed? You should go to the police. And I was like, what? But I sent the money through your bank. Maybe we could do like can you send the money back or do like a tracking thing? She was like, well, yeah, but you sent the money. Yeah. It's not like they took it out of your account. You typed in their account number and their name and you click send. And I was like, that's fair. Yeah. I was like, that's fair. I understand that, right? And it was all the money I had. So I asked the lady, I was like, yo, so you mean to tell me that the fact that I lost all of my money, I literally have 2 euros left in my account and not a single system alarm went, hey, that's weird.
Right.
Not a single one. And then they were like, well, we do have a system, but you have to send over 10K for the alarm to be like, okay, that's weird. Yeah. And I was like, I guess that makes sense. All right, fair enough. So I went to the police, explained the whole thing to them. And they were like, yeah, that was pretty stupid of you. And I was like, okay, thank you for being honest. I was like, why is that stupid? And they said, well, first of all, if we're going to arrest you, we don't call you first saying, hey, we're going to come in 3 hours and we're going to pick you up and we're going to have a lady come tomorrow to give you a code. We don't do that shit. If you're accused of fraud, we're going to come and arrest you. Right. And I was like, hey, bro, everything in the Netherlands is on a schedule. I thought I was going to put this shit in my agenda, right? And then we were going to be like, yo, tomorrow I have to go to the police station to fight for my innocence. Like, I was like, that's how I thought it was going to go down. I thought I was going to Ted Bundy this shit and be like, I'll defend myself, right? That's how I thought was going to happen. And that is not how it happened. Like, he literally goes, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I apologize. I went home and I was so frustrated and angry. I just said, fuck it, I don't care about nothing anymore. I wrote my whole thesis about how I got scammed and how I felt that the systems in place were not accommodating for like victims of scams, especially because victims of scams can be like older people, like people in like their in like their 80s, 90s, the people that would fall for these kind of stuff. Totally. So I was like, okay, so I see that there's a lack of attention and care in these departments. So I wrote about that and I passed that shit. And the teacher was like, finally, something with substance. And I was like, oh, fair enough.
That's awesome.
Fair enough. Yeah, man.
Well, so at least
now I got my diploma.
At least it paid off. Yeah, exactly.
It just costed me 6 years of tuition and 1,900 euros to do it, but I got it.
How long was that period of time before you realized that you had actually been scammed? What was the period of time before you actually went to the
6
bank?
minutes.
6 minutes.
As soon as I sent the money, I was like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
As soon as I sent it, I fucked up. I had a hard time sending the money.
Yeah.
And as soon as I sent the money and they were like, oh, yeah, you know, you're going to hear back from us and all these different stuff. I was like, okay, cool. Hung up the phone. And I was like, actually, I got one more question. I called them and they never picked up.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I fucked up. I fucked up.
Who did you tell about it when it happened? So you went to the bank, you went to the police, but did you tell family, friends about it?
Oh, I had a girlfriend at the time who was Dutch. And like I told her immediately after it happened. And she was like, I left you alone. She was like, I left you alone for like a day, right? And you lost all your money in a scam. And it was so fucked up because I thought it was a good thing to do because the Indian guy on the phone, he said his name was Lucas Bakker. I was like, I'm a black guy named Sjoerd. That makes sense. So I was like, yeah, of course he's real. So I sent the money. And like everything about it made sense to me, but that's also a part of, I think I've always been like that. Like, I'm a positive person, but I have to learn the hard way a bit sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about that quite a bit, that, you know, here you're this guy named Sjoerd, which for people, you know, not from the Netherlands, it's a name that has a lot of heritage tied to the province of Friesland and, you know, the north of the country. Very uncommon for, you know, someone who's black or like a person of color, regardless of color, to even have that name. You know, how is it exactly that you wound up with the name Sjoerd?
Oh, man. So it's so funny because my mom, she works with the police, right? She's always had my entire life, even before I was born. She's always worked with the police. And the police
Is she a cop?
She's a treasurer.
Okay.
She's a treasurer at the police station. So she would always be in charge of like people's outfits, making sure everyone's that uniform is good, like doing a lot of like the behind the scenes administrative stuff. She would do that kind of thing. And because of that, she would have like a good rapport with the police station. Like everyone at the police kind of calls her mom. Like she's been there for years. Like she's like a part of the police station basically. And we only have the one, so we only have the one police station, so everybody knows my mom. And it's kind of like one of those things where she would like they would get really close with the Dutch police that would come down from the Netherlands, right? And like the Marechaussee, for example. Right. The Marechaussee is the royal guards of the Dutch queen, right? It's like a proper official government job. And they would come to St. Martin back when we were a colony of the Netherlands. And anytime a hurricane would come, they would send a bunch of like their soldiers and people to come and help rebuild and help, you know, with construction, getting rid of debris. And one of them name was Sjoerd. And he was like a guy that like, he was very interested in like herbs and all of these different types and all these different stuff. So when he came to the Caribbean, he also like wrote a book about like the local herbs and what properties they have for like your body, like what they can do for your body. So he met my mom and she absolutely fell in love with this man. Wow. Right? She was like, this guy is incredible. He's so funny, so nice, so smart. And they fell in love with each other, started dating. At some point, his bosses, the bigger Marechaussee, the Marechau guys, right? the Marechau guys.
The top dogs.
the top dogs, the fucking, like the suits and ties even. The suits and ties were like, hey, bro, we see you got this love story going on with this civilian while you're helping. That's beautiful. You can keep doing this, or you can come back to the Netherlands and keep your job, right? Obviously, he had to come back because he was like, all right, this is the reason why I'm here. Like, I'm a Dutch guy. I have a lot of family and friends back home. He went back. But the thing is, this guy is not my father, right? My mom just named me after him because she was like, yeah, you know what? He was a nice guy. I want my son to be like Sjoerd that I met. Just funny, smart, charismatic, cares about people, and just genuinely, yeah.
Did you ever meet the guy?
I want to.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, when I first started comedy, a piece of me was like, if I keep doing, like, talking about my name being Sjoerd, maybe I'll meet the dude one day that I'm named from, basically, He's probably dead by now, for all I know, to be honest.
When was this encounter between him and your mom?
Oh, it was like maybe 4 or 5 years before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born when my mom was in like her 30s. I have no idea how old he probably was.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, I don't know if I'll ever find him.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
And what's your biological father? What's he like?
He's Indian. Well, he's from Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
So Guyana is like a South American. It's technically the Caribbean, but we consider part of the Caribbean, but it's really South American because it's next to Suriname and British Guyana, right? So it's one of those kind of countries. And I'm assuming that he is definitely from the British side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the British side of Guyana.
You've met him?
Yes, I've recently met my dad. It was a very interesting thing to me because I always thought I was half white. Mm-hmm. I always thought I was half white because of the name Sjoerd.
Right.
And then I met my dad in 2024 when I was like 20. When I was like 24.
Mm-hmm.
I first met him at 17, but I didn't know that was my dad. Like,
really?
I didn't know. It was a very interesting interaction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like my mom was like, you're gonna go to the Netherlands because I was 17 and I was about to travel here for the first time. And it was like 2 weeks before the flight. So St. Martin would be like, yo, we're going to have a bunch of the students that are going to go to the Netherlands. We're going to put them all on the same flight, take them there, put them all in a hostel. They can stay together and then they can go their separate ways. So before the flight, my mom was like, okay, let's prepare you for it. Let's get you like a little Bible that you could carry with you for protection. So she took me to this bookstore, which apparently was behind my dad's company. I didn't know that. I go inside the bookstore and I'm looking in the nonfiction area for the Bible. Sorry. That's a personal thing.
The Jewish part of me needed a minute to like make that joke make sense.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, a lot of people got an opinion about that part. Gotta do something to like trigger some comments. No, I'm just joking. But I was looking for the Bible genuinely, trying to see which one I wanted to take. And I get a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around and I see this short man like looking at me. And he was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, hi, I'm good. How are you doing? He was like, do you know who I am? I was like, nah, not really. He was like, I'm your dad. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh, shit. Like, and it was crazy because I looked at him and I was like, that's where I get my eyebrows from. Like, immediately, I was like, I got my eyebrows from this dude, And it was one of those things where he said it and I didn't want to believe it, but I knew it. Like, I was like, yeah, no, this is him. This is really him. And, like, a huge part of me in the moment, I was like, nah, like, I genuinely felt that connection of, like a son to dad kind of thing where I was like, I wanna know this guy more. I want to.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely. For, like, myself as well.
Did he criticize your use of accents?
It's so fun. He loves comedy. He loves comedy as well. He loves comedy. He's a very like successful man, so he loves comedy as well. Like the idea of how you present yourself and marketing and branding. He loves comedy. There's one comedian on St. Martin who's also my uncle, and I wish I was lying. He's also my uncle. He's like my brother's. Like there's one comedian that we have. His name is Fernando, and it's so funny because he is like. My brother, I have an older brother on my mom's side who has a different dad. Mm-hmm. And this comedian is the brother of my brother's dad. So it's like his uncle, but it's indirectly my uncle because I've known him my whole life as well.
Yeah, sure.
So My dad loves this comedian Fernando because he's also the only one that we've ever had. So his brand of comedy, how he expresses things, is very like local to the Caribbean. So when my dad found out that I did comedy, he was like, "Wow, that's very interesting too." He was most interested in the law stuff.
I mean, but still, what a weird interaction. I mean, in the middle of the bookstore like that.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, I assume your mom tipped him off that you were going to be in the bookstore.
It might have been his idea. Like, take him to the bookstore behind my company. You never know. You never know what goes on.
A tap on the shoulder and, did you stay in touch with him this whole time?
I try to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ask him for anything because that's who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ask him for nothing, but it very much is like the kind of relationship where I'm like, I want it to be deeper, but there's a huge part of me that's like, I've also lived this long without the guy. Like, I can continue doing it. But on like that deeper biological level, I'm like, oh, I want his approval so bad. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I want it. I want him to be like, oh yeah, I wish I was in this kid's life more. I want all of that. I'm petty. You know, I'm petty still. I told you, man, I'm petty, bro. I'm very positive. I'm like, yes, we can move on. We can do that. But I'm also like, I want you to be like, yeah, I regret not being in his life more.
I mean, your mom, who is quite religious,
Yeah.
right? And raised you as a single mom.
Yeah.
But still, like you said, you had other men who were also influences in your life as you were growing up as well. Was there a reason that your mom and your dad made the decision, or did she make the decision that he wasn't really a part of your life growing up?
No, he had to do that because so it was one of those things for me where it was like growing up, I didn't know who my dad was, but everybody else did, right? So it would kind of be one of those things where I would hear a lot as a kid, oh, you have your dad's nose, you have this and that, oh, you just like your dad in a lot of ways. And I'd be like, I don't know who this person is that I'm hearing a lot about. And it turns out he's one of the most well-known men on the island that I didn't know that as well. So for me growing up, it's like, I would hear stories, like people would tell me like, oh, did you know that you're an uncle? And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, one of your dad's kids got a kid, and they would show me a picture of a baby. And I'd be like, I guess I am an uncle. Like, that's just I would hear little things throughout time. And I would come to find out that there are so many other kids that he has as well. He's married, and he has 2 in his marriage and others outside of it. And it was one of those things to me that made me go like, okay, I'm not here for like intentional reasons. Like everything that happens to me at this point is like, I'm just grateful to be here, you know, and appreciate it. So whenever I would look at that situation, it's like, okay, he is a married man that has a lot of connections, and he has a lot of businesses that he has to take care of. So to me, it wasn't a matter of like, oh, you know, he's not in my life. So therefore, I wonder like, did my mom kick him out? Did he do it? I was like, I could see how this was a better choice for everyone. That his approach of being like, hey, you know, I might send some money here and there, but I don't want to hear anything about it. You do what you got to do with him. And I was like, okay, for me growing up, I understood that. I was like, I'm just going to do the best that I got to do. He has his own thing that he's got going on. And as I got older, he would reach out more to me. And I would be like, oh, okay, so he's trying as well. And that started to affect things where it's like, even the past is the past. Now we're both trying to be like, let's see what we can learn from each other and grow from this, if there's anything to be saved or, you know.
I mean, you said he's kind of a guy who appreciates comedy.
Yeah.
Is funny himself also?
Yeah. He's a very interesting dude because I feel like he has a sense of humor, right? But he is also quite serious. He's a businessman. He takes things very seriously. And I'm still learning more aspects about him. And I do also try to be more funny with him to let him know that, like, I also want a connection. I'm still intimidated by you. I'm still very intimidated because I don't know anything. And I've only heard about you. You've been like almost like a shadow in my life, my whole life, like a thing I've always heard about, but I never get to see. So to me, it's like now I get to see the man that I've always heard about. And for me, it's like you want to take steps and be slow about it and be like, I want to get to know him slower, but I'm also like, he's getting older too. Like he's like almost 70. No, and my dad's in his 70s actually, and I'm 26.
Right.
And it was so funny. We had like a moment we were laughing. I was like, yeah, like my favorite number is 48. And he was like, wow, that's crazy. When you turn 48, I don't think I'll be around to see that shit. And I was like, wow, you probably weren't. And that was a moment where we were both kind of like, we don't have a lot of time together.
Yeah.
We should try, if we could, to make something out of this.
I mean, I assume you talk to your mom about this. Does it, make her feel, weird that you're starting this relationship with your dad?
Oh, maybe. Like in so many ways, it is a bit of like a concern from her part, because you do have that where it's like, she's known me a lot of my life, right? Like she's basically raised me, made me who I am in a lot of ways. And I could also see that in the approach of like newer things and unknown things, you do worry about how your child will change, like how you view certain stuff. And I think I did tell her to her, and I made her understand as well, where it's like, to me, the connection with him is like, it's a beautiful thing, and I want to know it more. I want to know him more. I want to understand it more. And there is no like loss of who I am. It's also kind of a way of me learning new things about who I am as well. Like things about me that I didn't know. Like, oh, he has an allergy to like shellfish. Maybe I do too.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like this make me go like, it's just important to have that relationship with just the person that made you in some way. Just a little bit, if you could. And I think I told my mom that, and I think she respects that.
And you're pretty close with your mom?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Is she, what are the personality traits that you and her kind of share? Because you've got this, huge outgoing energy, and I imagine you have, your father's also probably very charismatic as well. You've got some comedy from that, but, what's your mom like? What's that relationship like?
She's the loudest laugher in the room. She's the loudest laugher in the room. Like, she'll go, ah! Ah! Like, and it's like a pause in between, and she does like, ah! Ah! Like, that's how she laughs, So you would just be like, okay, all right, my mom's having a good time. Like, because when I did the show where I bombed, she was the only one in the front row laughing.
Right.
She was the only one going, slapping knees. I'm like, Mom.
You were doing her set.
She loved it.
It was her set.
She's like, he's doing the accents. I love this shit. I was playing for my audience, man. And so because of that, it's like she always comes from a great place, but it also is that place of like, there's also a lot of like dysfunction in that. Like, she's not perfect. Like, because of her, I get my tardiness from. Like, there was a point in my life I was late to school every day of my life. And there was only one time where like for like 2 to 3 weeks I was on time, because we had this police officer, man, that was staying with us in our house because his wife kicked him out. It'd be like that. That's the Caribbean, man. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama, bro. There's a lot of drama in the Caribbean, man. I had this one police officer that would stay with us. His name was Gamali. We would call him Benji. And he would basically stay with us. And there was a period, he stayed with us for like 2 to 3 months. Right?
Every time his mom kicked him out. Or
his
every
wife.
time his wife kicked him out.
His wife kicked him out for 3 months.
Yeah.
And that made me go like, oh, she doesn't love this man. Because how is your husband going to be gone for 3 months and you don't check up on him?
Right.
Especially if they have a kid together, she wouldn't even let him see the kids. I was like, all right, bro, this is too much, right? So Benji, great dude. I live with this man. And for basically like 2 to 3 months with my mom, at some point she left. Like, she went away to do like a business trip in Borneo, because a lot of police go to like other islands on business trips.
Of course.
She goes with the police on to the other islands, and it's just me and Gamali. And he had me like a fucking military regime. This dude would be like, we're going to wake up at 5, we're going to have breakfast, you're going to be at school at 7:30. I was like, school starts at 8. What the fuck am I going to be? What am I going to do for 30 minutes?
You got a lot of time to make up for it, right?
Literally. Like, and for those 2 to 3 weeks, my teachers were like, what's going on? You've been on time every day for 2 to 3 weeks. And I was like, I miss my mom. Because when my mom came back, I was showing up late again. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I loved it. We would take our time. We would have breakfast. We'd have tea. We would make sure I get all the food I ate. Everything was take our time. We'll get there when we get there.
And then you move out here. And you must be like, you're like the only Sjoerd who runs late for everything.
I really am. It's so bad. I'm so just like her in so many ways. But that's like, I mean, that's also what I saw worked, you know? Like, even though she always had these things where she would be late, or like she would just have certain aspects of her personality that would conflict with a certain vibe. Like, she's one of those people that is like, she will sit quietly until she hears something she really disagrees with. Then she's the loudest in the room.
Right.
Then she's the loudest in the room. And I think I kind of get that a little bit from her, where I'm like, if I hear something I disagree with, I hold it in. And I'm like, I'm going to bring that up later. I'm going to bring that up when it's a more appropriate time. I'm not going to bring it up now. Yeah.
How is it, how does your mom, and also I guess your dad as well, how do they feel about you, trying to be a professional comedian and pursuing this as your career and entertainment as a career?
I think a lot of the times they do kind of wish that I would kind of do like a Hannah Montana kind of thing. You know what I mean by that? So Hannah Montana is like a Miley Cyrus character that she would play a lot, where she would kind of be a regular schoolgirl by day and be a pop star by night. So I thought I was going to do that, right? I thought I was going to be a lawyer at day and I do comedy at night. A lot of people do that. I know some comedians that do that. So I was like, oh, for sure, maybe I could pull this off. And I genuinely couldn't find a job in law because of my issues with doing applications and writing and like presenting myself and selling myself. I had a hard time doing it unless it was about like maybe like more personality based, like interview, talking to people. So because of that, I told him, I was like, I'm having a really hard time finding a job in law. And I got rejected from like McDonald's and Five Guys and stuff like this, which shocked me. Right? I was like, really? I got rejected from Burger King? I didn't know they could do that, right? Like, I didn't know that they were like, sorry, want to hire somebody else to put these fries in the bag.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, sorry. So I remember when I got all of these different things that wouldn't work out, I was like, okay, I would lean into comedy more and I would see that I was getting way more rewards out of it in terms of like not immediately, of course. Like these things would come way later. But I remember I just kept doing something that I genuinely enjoyed. And that just led to this, like everything, like the stepping stones built up, and I just kept trying to get better, not having an ego, as I said before, just trying to get better at it. And I think that made people around me, like my family and friends, kind of be like, oh, he's taking this seriously, like he really wants this.
What was the point, the sort of tipping point where, you didn't really have to take an office job, or you didn't have to take a bike messenger job or whatever you could grab, that, you were earning enough off the entertainment, off the comedy, off the podcast, whatever else you're doing, that you were like, you know what, this is fine. I'm doing fine now.
Yeah. COVID. It was during COVID because we didn't have any stand-up.
So it worked out for you.
So I was... I got my degree. Right. I did everything in COVID, man. Thank God for that.
Best pandemic.
Best pandemic. For the nenext one, I'm king of the world.
10 out of 10 would do it again. Right? Yeah, 5 stars.
Because honestly, that is how I view it, to be honest. Yeah.
It's serious.
Yeah, in a way that it was like COVID gave me a chance to kind of look internally and be like, I mean, I'm a very positive person naturally. Like, I'm a naturally positive. I'm like, sometimes I have to fight for it. Like, sometimes you have like the bad negative thoughts that come in that's like, oh, I probably suck. I shouldn't do this. But I'm more of a positive person naturally, where I'm like, yeah, but if I don't try, how will I ever know? So for me, it was like in COVID, when there were like no shows, I mean, we would still do shows. I ain't gonna lie. We would do like these super illegal shows. We would do it. We would still do it. It was super illegal, but we would still do it. And we couldn't do a lot of shows. So what would happen is I would just start going on TikTok, just doing sketches. I would be like, just doing all kind of sketches, just trying to get people to, I was going to say, just buy time. Buy time for myself, create and be funny. And when I started to do stuff about Dutch people, that was when I started to get virality, because I did one video about Dutch tuition and how it was for me and how strange it was coming from the Caribbean. So I did like a little sketch talking to like a person at the school and finding about the tuition fees and how that would go down for a Caribbean person versus a Dutch person versus maybe like an American, for example, because you would pay way more in tuition fees, right? So I would do like little stuff like this, and people were like, oh, wow, this is really nice. Like, you should do more of this, because a lot of people that do sketches about Dutch people now, by the time, there's only one person that was doing it, and they were doing kind of more trendy, like music involved captions. No one was doing sketches. So I started doing sketches, and people were like, oh, this is really fun. This is really nice. And I'll try to have like a unique angle with it. So by the time I got to like maybe the second year of COVID, which was like 2021, almost going to 2022, I built enough of a rapport for like a year and a half, because I would post like 2 to 3 times a week. I built enough rapport that people were like, oh, we know the type of comedy and branding and what Sjoerd does, that I would have companies kind of reach out and be like, yo, can you write a sketch for us? If you can be in it if you want to. I'd have people be like, yo, can you come and go to this like work, what's it called again? Where you like where they kind of like bring in someone like an expert to talk to a bunch of like marketing people.
Yeah, like a master class or a conference.
Like a conference, yeah.
Yeah.
I would do like a bunch of conference, and people would be like, oh, I have a business about a dog clinic. How would you write a sketch about that? And I would explain it to them. So it was kind of that kind of mentality where I was like, I was doing this for fun, but at some point I started to see with the numbers and where people would be like, oh, you have a value to me because of your skill level, because of what you're doing, that I was like, oh, maybe I could make a thing out of this. And then, yeah, after that.
And, at that point, are you doing the podcast yet?
The podcast happened last year.
The podcast, so that's in the background, which you do
Yes.
with your co-host, Daniel
Yazbek, yes.
Yazbek, right? Who's from South America?
South Africa.
South Africa, excuse me.
Johannesburg. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
the same. So
Same continent.
Yeah, same thing. So the two of you guys are doing this together, and you're getting success off of that. You're the two of you are performing on stage, where you're sort of doing split takes on different things.
Yeah,
and
that's my boy.
Both of you together do great crowd work as well, and you do great crowd work in your sets too.
I appreciate that. I try not to be a crowd work comic, but I appreciate that.
No, but the stuff you do is still, even if it's a small part of a show, it's still engaging and funny.
I appreciate
And what I'm wondering also, though, is because you've been able to book more of these shows and book more of these gigs based on getting popular in 2020 and 2021. But the things that you were getting popular for are totally different than the work that you're doing right now most often. And so how does that transition actually happen?
So I think it's very tough for me at the time because luckily I was doing stand-up first. So for me, when the sketches would come around and then when COVID would kind of go away, I was battling between, do I still want to do sketches during the day and then do a stand-up show at night? Because I still wanted to write new material and work on jokes and just get better at it. Because to me, I did see where, having a following does bring people to your shows, but I wanted to be really undeniably good with the stand-up, that by the time they come, it wouldn't be like, yeah, it was okay, it was cool, but this and that. I was like, no. You're going to get like, I'm not usually into comedy, but that was a good show because of how he put it together, how he did that. Like, to me, that was the most important part, that yes, you could have the following, but I want to have something that I could say is a proud product of mine, that when they come, I could be proud to say, this is my hour, this is my show, and here you go.
Are you going to put out a special, or is that a plan of yours, is to put out something longer form at some point?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of like, it's one of those things for me where I want to be known. Like, I could do crowd work, like it's fine for me, but it's not something that I'm aiming to be better at or to make a thing that I always do. For me, I'm like, I love substance. I love jokes. I talk about something. And I don't want to say like this, but I love Dave Chappelle because of Dave Chappelle. Like, you want to hear what he has to say.
Right.
And I want to also be able to have something to say, not just be like, does people do this? Does people do that? Nah, like, I want to have a core of what I'm trying to say artistically and not just make it like, this is for the money or whatever, but something I genuinely could say, I'm proud of this and it's a good joke or whatever,
Perhaps, our audience maybe knows you more because you've been the opener for these bigger acts where you're playing at Carré, you're playing at Boom Chicago. I think Carré, but
I've done also Rai Theater, the Rai,
which is huge. Boom Chicago,
Comedy Cafe,
Comedy Cafe, Club House as
Rotterdam,
well.
yes, indeed.
So you're doing sets for larger audiences and larger comedians as well. What's the biggest show that you've headlined at this point?
That I've headlined, I would say 400 at Boom.
That's huge.
400 at Boom, that it was like, like you have a lineup show and then I would go last. Yeah, it's one of those kind of shows. And I think, 400, like I'm kind of used to like I could do any amount of people. You could put 800, 400. It's fine with me. Like I'll do whatever.
Do you ever perform in Dutch?
No.
Why not? I mean, you speak Dutch. You grew up in Sint Maarten, so you must be native Dutch speaking. And even I know English is used heavily, and maybe you have a preference like my kids do for one language over the other.
Indeed.
But, you are native Dutch speaking. I mean, you could perform for a Dutch audience, right?
I would have to, I'm not that comfortable in my Dutch to translate my jokes like that, to be like, okay, I can have the same message, the same vibe. Because I do feel like in another language, I would have a bit of a different persona. Like, no, also the way how I express myself is like, it's not truly comfortable enough that I would feel like, oh, I could do crowd work, I could do my bits, I could ramble, I could even go on a separate topic and come back and bring it back later. That kind of comfortability with Dutch, no. I couldn't do that.
You know, we did an interview with a Surinamese comedian, Rui Verveer, who performs mostly in Dutch. Occasionally, you know, does shows in a more Surinamese dialect or language that, you know, gets a totally different audience and totally different reactions.
Yes.
He's done exactly one 5-minute set in English ever in New York at Comedy Cellar. And then, you know, after we were talking about it, it's, you know, it had been sticking in the back of his head whether or not to try doing shows in English. And he said kind of the same thing about this idea of, am I comfortable enough? Am I, you know, can I do the language well enough where I can get the jokes out at the right pacing and the right time? Is that something that, you know, you've struggled with, or is that something that you would, like, even just on a whim, give it a shot in Dutch at, you know, some club?
I can honestly say too that I feel like in terms of topics and how you handle certain things, it's like at like English shows, you with the audiences there, it's like you would talk to like Dutch people, internationals, all kind of different people. I feel like at Dutch shows, I mean, sometimes we have shows where it's all Dutch people, but I feel like when it's in Dutch, like you have specifically a specific kind of Dutch people that come, you know, like they're really like born and raised there kind of thing. I feel like with the Dutch people that go to English shows, they have like a different kind of vibe and like knowledge about them. Like they're more aware of other cultures. They travel more. They do all these different kind of stuff. Dutch people at Dutch shows, they want to hear Dutch stuff. Also, they're all on the same page, you know?
Right.
It's like, oh, you're going to talk about Friesland. Okay, well, we all know that, you know? You know what I mean? Like, we all know about Friesland. We all know about Sjoerd.
We already know you're the one.
Yeah, you're the one black Sjoerd. Okay, all right. Because then with these kind of things, it's like, I would do it, but I'm not that comfortable. My Dutch is not that high to where I feel like I would be able to have presence on the stage, especially to be able to express myself and have the same kind of way I explain stuff. Like with Dutch people, I feel like you don't have to explain a lot because they understand a lot. Like they're also with you, like they're listening, they hang on to every word, right, that you're saying, because they're also translating in their head. And if you speak to them in Dutch, I do notice this. Sometimes I would do corporate shows where it would be me in English and another comic in Dutch. We have to perform for a company, right? And I would always notice that the Dutch comedians, they would have a bit of an easier time, and I kind of understand what they're saying, but some words kind of go over my head. So like certain vocabulary, I understand. I'm like, oh, okay, he's talking about this, but I don't know how he's structuring things, how the word play comes in. And when they interact with people, it's like they talk about stuff that the audience gets.
Right.
So it's like, to me, with Dutch, to a Dutch audience, you'll always get more comfortability out of the audience because they give more. They're like, oh yeah, like we're here with you, we follow and everything. In English, it's a bit different because they translate in their head, and they also don't know where you're going with it because they don't know how much you know, and you don't know how much they know.
Right.
So you don't want to go up there explaining Friesland to a Dutch person because they'll be like, brother. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to tell me the Sjoerd is a common name in Friesland. I know that.
Right.
You know? So it's like these kind of little things that would make me go, I think about these things. And if I were to do a Dutch set, I'd be like, what should I say? What don't I have to say? Because it's a different audience.
Is that also something that makes it a little harder for you when you take, you know, your comedy outside of the Netherlands as well? Because you do have a number of jokes that are really about life here.
Yes, indeed.
And so how do you take that to other countries, or how do you perform in other countries?
The thing I love, I went to Top Secret once, and I went to go watch and just hang out, and I went to go see the comedians there. And I was in London for like, maybe 5 hours, and there's comedians talking about the tube. Right? They're just talking about how the tube works, how the metro works, and all these different stuff. And I haven't been there long enough, but I understood everything they were talking about because they painted the picture so well that I was like, even if I've been here for 5 hours and I don't know anything about the tube, I understand everything that they're saying about how hot it is, how crammed it gets, how crazy the people are when they go in there, how silly we look when we all sit in it. I'm following everything because they paint the image so well. For me, going to other countries, I do like to have more general material that could connect with everybody.
Right.
And if I'm going to talk about the name Sjoerd, I have to paint the picture, put it into terms that everyone can understand, like, oh, that's what he's going through, you know? It's kind of like if you go to Britain, like a black guy being named Sjoerd is like going to Britain, and it's kind of like they have very common names over there. Like I'm trying to think of one right now, but it's not really like hitting me. Not even like Liam, but
Dave.
they have like some dudes that would kind of like girl names. There's one I'm trying to remember, but it's not crossing my mind right now. But it's like how there's like kind of like one girl name that a lot of dudes in England have, and it's like very specific to them.
Leslie? Maybe? I don't know.
Oh, it's killing me right now. It's killing me. I was talking to a British person about it, and they said the name, and I was like, that is literally what the name Sjoerd is like for Dutch people. Like a very, very British name that is like, it puts it into perspective where they're like, oh, that's what Sjoerd is for you. So if I go to England, I would have that name there. If I go to like the US, it would be like a Matt or a Zach or like, you know, those kind of things, right? But not like Zach per se, but something more niche that you're like,
yeah, just leave me out of it. Yeah, exactly. I'm fine.
Zach is a dope name. Zach is one of those names. Like Sjoerd is a name here that is like, it's very farming name. Zach is a dope name.
Well, I mean, thank you. And and at the same time, in movies or TV shows, Zachs are almost always assholes or villains.
You think so?
I feel like it.
I always kind of imagine like a fun idiot.
Oh, thanks. That's like awesome.
No, but like a person with like they might not be like the most aware in the room, but their heart's in the right place, you know? Like a Zach. Like, you ever seen Sweet Life of Zack and Cody?
No.
No?
No.
That makes sense. You've been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
This is a 20 years ago show. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is a 20 years ago show. But Zach is one of those names that I'm kind of like, yes, you could have villains kind of have that name, but to me, Zach has always been like more quirky, fun kind of person. Like, you know, like the very like in the moment, very present.
I'll lean into that.
I mean, like, okay, because like, do you feel
if you and Daniel ever break up? I mean, we've got a Sjoerd and Zach thing going on.
Yo, Daniel's gonna get so jealous when he sees this. I hope you know he's gonna be like, that motherfucker. He's seeing other podcasts. Shit.
You know, because we were talking about touring. What is your goal as a comedian? Is your goal to kind of, you know, take the show on the road and do like a long U.S. tour or a tour of elsewhere? What do you want to do?
Well, I mean, one of the coolest things that I kind of am like really excited about. I mean, I would love to do it. I would love to get into more like festivals, like Just for Laughs and stuff like this. Like, just also I want to do Fringe too. Like, I want to do everything. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I want to do everything, but I'm also aware of my reality and what my limits are. Like, I don't have like another job on the side, so I don't have like the money to just go travel somewhere, stay there, do comedy over there. So for me, if I go somewhere, it's truly like an investment for me. Right. And I would love to go to America, but not right now. If I go, they're gonna send me back. I ain't gonna lie. They're gonna be like, we don't need more of that here.
You know, like 2 weeks ago, it would have been, well, you're not the right shade of skin tone.
Oh my God.
For America. And now it's like, I don't even think that matters. Now
it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
Now it's like, do you even speak English, motherfucker?
Right.
Like, it's like kind of like that. Yeah, it's pretty tough. And I think I want to go to America. I want all of these things. I want like to be able to go on tour. I would love to be able to have my own show, to write stuff, to have a TV show that I can write, an animated show. I want all of these things.
Yeah.
I would love to do all of it because I feel like there's so much that I hear about and I see about. Like, I like stories and stuff like this, you know, like storylines, things that build. So to me, it's like, if I can figure out my story, especially with stage, that I will know for sure, like, this is what the brand is, this is who I am. And I want people that when they come, that they know what they're expecting, that Sjoerd's going to talk about what something means to him, and like maybe like the racial, social, political aspects of a certain place. 'Cause I like these kind of things, you know. I like these kind of topics. That's what I'm inspired by mostly. Yeah. You know, and putting things into perspective for people. Like, I used to love like Gabriel Iglesias and like Dave Chappelle. I know nothing about America, but I would learn so much about Mexicans, about what Black Americans go through, and I'd be like, okay. You know, like, I want that for the Caribbean. Like, I've never had anybody say what we be going through, you know? So I was like, okay, I want to have that voice as well. And kind of like, you know, let's have a voice, really. I want to have a voice. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, I think you do have a voice, though.
I'm working on it. Yeah. You
know, I mean, I really
I'm not super loud. But it's a small kind of whisper I got. I'm like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say, I mean, I think you're developing very well as a comedian, and I hope you don't deny yourself acknowledgement of that either. I mean, at the same time, all the best comedians still say, the most successful ones anyway, they still say if you're not hungry all the time for it, then, at some point you're going to plateau, or you're going to start going down, or you're doing the same work over and over again. Yeah. So what's your plan for 2026? Here we're in January.
Yeah.
So what's your, what's coming up for you?
I want more to be in other countries where English is more prevalent. Mm-hmm. I'm quite comfortable here in the Netherlands. I have a lot of shows. I got a lot of people I could see. I have a community here, especially of comedians. And I always like doing the next thing that scares me. And the next thing that scares me is basically starting over, right?
Right.
And I want to go to London more because I have certain networks over there, certain comedians I know over there, but I never used any of it. And I want to ask for help.
Yeah.
I want to ask for help this year.
See, that's a New Year's resolution right there.
That's a beautiful way to put it, right? It all comes around at the end.
I love it. The callbacks.
The callbacks, right? I'm telling you, bro, I do this shit.
So with the law degree and studying, I'm curious, also how that's translated into your process, because obviously, studying law is very procedural.
Yes.
Is that, is there anything in how you learned to build an argument in law that also translates to the work that you're doing now?
100%. So a lot of it that I think in the beginning was about the main point of having an argument is that I would realize is rebuttal, right? That yes, there are other arguments and you have to consider that there might be arguments against what you're saying and consider that. And that's something that I think is very important when debating anything, that you know what the other arguments are. So for me, it's even if I want to talk about something from my experience, if I go, I want to make fun of Dutch people for that, I also go, if I was Dutch, how would I feel about this, right? And I would be okay, I want it to represent me more. I want to feel more seen in something. So I would go, okay, how would I rebuttal me? And how would I make that funny if I were to rebuttal myself, right?
Is that kind of your version of what a lot of stand-up comedians do? I think Louis C.K. talks about this also, where it's not the first line that's the funny one, it's the second or third one, or even the fourth one.
Indeed.
That you come up with. Is that kind of how you refine your bits into moments that are funnier?
I kind of start with if I have a topic that I'm okay, they might not relate to this, they might not get this, I'm talking about something very personal or whatever, or very specific to an experience I have, I would go, okay, if I introduce the topic on stage and I say 1 to 2, 3 lines, if I get a laugh, I'm there's something there, I can continue working on this. If I don't get a laugh, I go, I didn't put it the right way I should, right?
Right.
So I would go
you don't want to give up on it. You still have the feeling that there's something of value in that bit.
But I make it really short. So I would be okay, if I have a bit about, let's say, Trump, right? And I have, let's say it would go really long. It's a 3-minute long bit. And I prepared 3 minutes, but I don't know if it's funny, right? I would just do the minute every time, the first minute of it every time I'm on stage, to be is that first minute funny? And I would continue doing that. And if it is funny, I'd go, okay, what is the rebuttal to that? What is one thing someone could say that would be oh, but what about this? What about that? And I'm okay, no, that's a callback. That's something that I can reference. That's something that I could talk about. Maybe use some wordplay with that. Because I would look at it and go, how would I debate this? How would I be oh, but that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm from a different culture. How would I understand this? And I try to look at it like that. Basically with arguments, it's especially in a courtroom setting, it's you're trying to convince a jury, a judge, and it's okay, the judge knows all the facts of the case. You don't have to explain that to them. They know what happened. You got to make them feel where you're coming from. And I'm okay, now that's a different level of arguing, right?
Yeah.
Because you could prove a good point, and I could agree with your point, but I don't mean I agree with you, right? Yeah, okay, I see where you're coming from, but I don't think this is funny because I think you're being very either narcissistic, or I think you're being too mean, or I don't think whatever. People always feel that way about jokes, right? But if you show that you thought of every angle, then they're kind of oh, okay, that's kind of he's making it clear for all of us,
Does that give you more of an opportunity to, put a sort of comedian's twist on something where just in that moment the audience gets lost in some false line of logic that, comedians are so great at doing? Does that kind of make that easier for you in a way?
to get them into that world that you're creating, yeah. Because once you get them into that and you start off where you're kind of like, oh, like to me, the first few words and how you structure it tells them what you're going to talk about and how do you feel about what you're going to talk about.
Right.
Like every little thing, a smile, everything you do to me incorporates how you present and deliver something. And that is the same thing how when I would do like my law stuff, I would smile the whole presentation, the whole debate, the whole whatever. And my teachers would be like, you don't got to do that. It looks kind of insane, actually. If you're kind of like, Your Honor, my client didn't kill those 3 people. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Give a little wink to the jury.
Then I was like, okay, so the use of like certain information, like having a smile here, being more serious here, talking about something here, and people will be like, okay, he's being serious. Now he's being silly. Now he's being serious. Now he's being silly. And like these kind of little things is so important for argumenting and how you present something. Like, yeah, you could say something deadpan the entire time and leave audiences going, did he mean that? Was that a joke? What is that? Some people go through different things in their head. And to me, what I love, I don't want people to overthink anything. Everything I said is verbatim how I said it. There's nothing to overthink. There's nothing to misinterpret. You heard what I said, and that's it.
When you're tweaking and working on these bits, or just writing something new, I mean, you've already said law school was difficult because the actual amount of grinding out and sitting down and doing the work is a challenge. Do you actually sit down and write as a comedian, or do you just sort of jot down notes? What's your process like?
At the time for me, I would realize like with law stuff, especially like with any kind of school assignment, I did better when I was least thinking about it. So if I was like, oh, I want to do my research paper, normally I'm doing something else. And then I'm thinking about it in the back of my mind. And then usually I hit an epiphany or something comes up because you put it in the back of your mind. To me, I've always had that where I could sit down and write something. But a lot of the times I'm just keeping in the back of my mind, washing dishes, you go to the gym, whatever you do, what you got to do. I come home, I write down whatever I thought of, and then I look at it again. I'm like, all right, that's the first minute. If I could get that first minute, like a laugh in the first of that minute, I have a good idea, I have a good topic, a good story I can build on.
Do you sit down and work it out and work it out and work it out?
I have a whiteboard, so I kind of do like a flow chart. Like I don't really do like I don't really do that. I kind of like, and I draw like lines over, and I'm like, that connects to that, that can connect to that. Because I'm building an argument.
Right.
But it's most like a story. Like I'm showing a story that even if you don't relate to, I'm showing you why maybe this is nice for me or maybe why this is tough for me and how it might not be so much for you, but it is coming from my perspective. And that's the main thing that I look at. So I would go, what is my perspective on this topic? And I would circle it. I'll go, what is my perspective on this topic? Do they connect? How can I make them connect that if I wasn't me, and I saw these 2 things, and I'd be like, that's 2 really funny concepts. How'd you get that to come together? And it's like, yeah, well, I drew it out.
What's a bit of yours, or what's a story of yours that kind of fits that way of working?
So it's kind of like, I have a joke about Barack Obama. Like when I first found out, like when he first became president when I was 8, and how that impacted me, right? That it's like, knowing who I was the whole time, being like, oh, my name is Sjoerd, I'm a young black kid, I'm 8 years old, and the name Sjoerd is a super white name, so I was like, oh, I must be like half white, right? And then at some point, when the media told us, yeah, we just found out Barack Obama was actually half black and half white, as a kid, I was like, oh, wow, he's just like me, dude, that's crazy, right? I fucking love Obama, right? And then I met my dad and I found out what I was, and I met him in 2024. And it was so crazy because that was also when the next election was happening. And in 2024, I was like, the main joke about it is this whole time, the media made me think I was Barack Obama, but turns out I'm Kamala Harris. Right? And that's like a little connection I made where I was like Barack Obama. And then I was like meeting my dad. And I was like, oh my God, like there's so much that happened there where I was like, I didn't know I was Indian. I thought I was half black and half white, just like Obama. So then in this situation with Kamala Harris coming out and she's like, oh, I'm Indian, but I'm also black. I'm like, no fucking way. I was like, no fucking way. Yo, you just like me, what the fuck? So I was kind of like, my approach was like, oh, like you never, like, never meet your heroes because you never know who they are kind of thing, you know?
Right.
Like, you never know who they truly are. Like, I thought it was Obama, and I was like, oh, it's actually Kamala. But I had to wait those years for that. And that's like a connection that I made with the whiteboard, you know? By being like, oh, Sjoerd, I thought I was this, but I wasn't. And I found out this. And as soon as I've had Kamala Harris come up, I was like, this is perfect.
Oh, man, Sjoerd, so where can people find out, where you're performing and, follow you? What's the best way for people to track you down?
I would say social media.
Yeah.
Also in the streets, if you see me, say hello. I'm one of those people. I'm like, for me, so social media, Sjoerd Scott, YouTube, In the Background podcast on Spotify as well. And honestly, I also have a YouTube a short out, like not short, but like a set with like the red mic people.
Yeah.
I think we're at like 12,000 views right now.
Nice.
So like my set's like, I think it's like 13 minutes long. So go check it out, show us some love. And it was a very interesting time in my life. I was still quite fresh, and I was very excited about stage still. So I was very like, don't worry about that. Ignore that part. Yeah. Just lower the volume a little bit for the parts that I'm screaming. But check it out, and Sjoerd Scott on all platforms.
Sjoerd, thank you so much. This has been really an honor having you here. It's a great time. Thank you so much.
It's awesome. Thank you so much, Zach.
Dam Yankee is produced in partnership with NL Times, the top choice for English language news from the Netherlands. Founded nearly 15 years ago, NL Times is now the #1 site for information about this country, featuring more news stories every day of the week than any other website. Keep tabs on the latest top stories, features, and breaking news from across the entire country, including the 3 big cities, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague. So visit nltimes.nl now and find out what millions of people are reading about the Netherlands. Dam Yankee is an NL Times podcast. The show is created by me and Peach Rizzo. This episode was produced by Laura Bodger and Marcus Engel, and Marcus edited the episode.